Okay, thanks for coming to watch. This video and another one that I have put together, they are learning experiences, hopefully. This one is the one that triggered me the most, so I wanted to address it because it's a very common misunderstanding by people, and that is applications on dual screens and foldables. So give this a watch, and then I'll catch you on the backside. Now to another point that really irritates me, actually, and that is the thoughts that there's this huge difference between developing applications for dual screens and foldables. And I've seen a couple of videos that reference this, and it drove me actually to make this video. So I want to point out something first. This Microsoft has extensive help on helping individuals create applications for both dual screen and foldable devices. Hope I wasn't too loud there. Both, not dual screen, but also foldable. Microsoft has assistance. Now, they've had this assistance for years. Why would they do this? Why would they help people make applications for foldables when they're building a dual screen device? Well, let me tell you why. Because an application can be written and work on both. And that's the way Microsoft writes their apps. Now, they use the standard libraries from Android to do this. They help develop those libraries. Now, this might be one of the distinguishing differences, not might, it is, between LG and Microsoft in dual screen stuff and Microsoft and Samsung in dual screen versus foldable. Samsung and LG did their own things. Microsoft saw that there was a need for a standard, and their willingness over the last decade to embrace open source more and more led them to developing a standard or being a key element. I don't know how much of the percentage of Microsoft versus Google into this development. And if Samsung had any input, I would say LG no, because LG backed out of the market. But Samsung is heavy into the market. Does Samsung want to do things standard, or do they want to do things their way? I don't know. I would like to understand where the latest versions of Samsung are. I guess I should look into what the developer stuff says about that. But Microsoft's Office apps work on Samsung foldables very nicely, and they work on dual screen. Why would someone that understands these technologies think that Microsoft has to scrap everything they've done? They don't. The only thing that's adjusting is going to be Launcher, and we're yet to have seen what's going to happen there. But Launcher just brings the apps up and throws them into these panes. The apps control what they do with panes. So that's a minor little detail Launcher is. And start fresh on a foldable is just not accurate. The only parts that are starting fresh are going to be the hardware design. That's it. It's going to be the hardware design. And anytime you move from one generation to another, you're going to have hopefully new stuff that you're doing hardware wise, which is going to cause you to have to do some further development that doesn't really rely on things that you've done in the past. So that part's hard to call. I'm calling, I don't know the word I want to use here, but let's just debunk that thought that you have to scratch everything that you've been doing on a dual screen and start fresh on a foldable. That's not true. And if you doubt it, go to Microsoft's website, learn.microsoft.com, and then you can go to, I was looking to make certain I'm reading it correctly, and then you can just do a search on Microsoft development, dual screen, and foldables. And you'll come up with this: create apps for dual screens and foldables. So no need to scrap anything. As to the underlying operating systems, Android has just incrementally been increasing. I read something yesterday about 12L's a fork. That's not what a fork is. Android 12L is just the next release of Android. It upped the API level by 1, just like every other previous release of Android. Android used to do point releases quite often. Now that's a rare thing, but this was initially a point release of 12.1. So as they go to 13, it's just an API increase, as will 14. Thus, going to Android 13 will not be an issue either. That's going to be a very natural flow for Microsoft to do. And we'll work on a dual screen device. And since Microsoft writes their apps to understand these various technologies and work with these technologies, I expect that we will see a lot of the development being done on Duo that's going to end up on the Duo 3. So it only makes sense because the hardware is there to work with. No, it's not a single screen foldable, but a dual screen device is a single screen device to Android. Android only sees one screen, period. It only sees one screen. What the libraries do is allows you to divide the screen up with panes that you can put apps into. That's it. There's no special magic. There's an API there to allow you to do that. On dual screens, you have a hinge that you have to take into account. And that's also part of the whole SDK, which is another little thing that I could get in on. But hey, that's it. I wanted to cover that point. Okay, yeah, that does bother me, as you can tell. But that's because anybody that can influence others needs to make certain they technically understand what they're saying, because facts are facts, and don't make up facts. Don't be Chat GPT and make up facts because you assume something should be this way or is this way, when you can very easily verify that it's not, it's this way. So that's why I created the video. I hope you found it helpful, and hopefully you have not been swayed if you've heard this by anyone that's true. But if you have, please let me know. I'm curious as to who really thinks this, and did you get your understanding adjusted? Thanks for watching.